Hello and welcome to Smart Home Buying with Merrimack Valley Housing Partnership. My name is Ed Alcantara. I've been with the organization for 12 years and I'm a home buyer counselor. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with Kathy Mercado, my colleague, about the 2 down payment programs offered here in Lowell, and she's going to discuss those so that our viewers can be informed on what the possibilities are for them as home buyers to get funding.
Thank you, Ed, for the introduction. Like Ed said, my name's Kathy, and I work for Merrimack Valley Housing Partnership. My email address is Kathy with a C at mvhp.org. Now, I'm here to talk about down payment assistance programs for the city of Lowell.
There's 2 programs in Lowell, which is great because we're the only city in the Commonwealth that has 2 programs. We have the City of Lowell and the Lowell Development Financial Corporation. Explain those to us.
Well, the first one that I want to talk about would be the City of Lowell Down Payment Assistance Program, because typically this is the one that we will look at first to see if the person qualifies. Now, if the family or the individual does not qualify for the City of Lowell Down Payment Assistance Program, then we'll look at the Lowell Financial and Development Corporation. Now, that's for higher income earners. Typically, the difference is we have to look at the area medium income for Merrimack Valley or Middlesex County. In the city of Lowell, a family of 1 cannot make more than $52,850 to qualify for the city program. If it's a family of 3, you cannot exceed $67,950. I know you probably won't remember these numbers, but you can always email me or call us at the office. The Lowell Development and Financial Corporation does not have any income guidelines if you're a city employee or a UMass employee.
That's great news. They have a high income limit anyway, so I don't think that a lot of people are going to exceed that, but you never know. And that's $147,420. That's pretty generous.
Exactly, yes. One other thing that I want to mention is that, both of these programs are loans that need to be repaid back. Now, they're 0 interest loans, but basically how I like to tell customers or home buyers, potential home buyers, is that it's money borrowed for free. It's not a given, but then again, the purpose of these programs are to make sure that people still have savings after closing. Usually when someone buys a home, they only have enough savings to purchase the home, and then after, for a lack of a better word, they're strapped for cash.
Oh yeah, like the boiler could go a month after. Somebody could lose a job. I've heard of people losing the job a week after closing. So if they've got $5,000 to $7,000 left in the bank because they utilize these programs, that's great. That's great because a lot of people, as you know, get into the house and they say, geez, I don't have any money now.
Exactly, and that's what we're trying to avoid, because a lot of our home buyers are single head of households, and every dollar counts. Even if they're able to just after the transaction happens, just have $2,000. You want to have some type of reserves. Banks look at reserves as your 401k, but we know that if you're trying to take a loan against your 401k, you're going to have to pay back those funds double in taxes and penalties and things.
Sure. So this provides stability for the homeowner. So tell us, how does somebody get the funding? They call you up and say, geez, I found a house. I need to get some assistance in order to purchase it.
No, first thing, that if someone calls me and it's their first step, they haven't spoken to a loan officer, they don't have, an offer on a home, I would say call us or email us and take the first-time home buyers class.
They're going to learn quite a bit in the courses. I would recommend those as well because they're requirements, but not only that, just to be educated so the process goes smoother. So they would call you up, you would look at their financials and determine which program to put them in. And then how long does it take to get the funds to the closing? Because some people have different time frames and there's different mechanisms in play here.
Okay, so for the city of Lowell, we typically say 4 to 6 weeks. in order for us to process an application. For the Lowell Development and Financial Corporation, about 4 weeks as well. You want to make sure that if you're putting an offer in a home and you're utilizing the Lowell Development and Financial Corporation's down payment assistance program, you want to make sure that you're going to close at the end of the month, because they only meet once a month and the board of directors have to approve this.
So if a real estate agent says to the buyer, we have to close on the 15th, and they submitted an offer today, that's probably not going to happen, because the bank needs time to process their paperwork so that you can get it and submit it. So the timing is very important with the LDFC. I'm aware of that. So that's great that we can let people know about that.
One thing I do want to stress is that the LDFC program only can do conventional loans. We do not use FHA loans. You cannot use have an FHA loan and apply for this LDFC program.
That's
okay. But for the city of Lowell, you could.
Yeah, the only thing is that you would want the viewers to call you first, because you can determine what kind of loan they're in, what program's
yes,
going to work.
Definitely. I mean, basically, we want to make sure that we have their income. I just have them send in their pay stubs, last 3 years of tax returns, because you cannot have been an owner of a property within the last 3 years. Now, if you're a displaced homemaker, then you know that you're exempt from that. You could have been owner within the last 3 years. You could have owned a home within the last 3 years. Now, if you're a veteran, that also will exempt you from being a first-time home buyer for these programs.
So if somebody's buying a 3-family, what program would they use?
If they're buying a 3-family, so it's not which program they can use. Let's say that the city of Lowell will allow you to purchase a home, a condo, up to a 4-family. The Lowell Development and Financial Corporation will only do up to a 2-family household and still be able to help you with down payment assistance.
These 2 programs have helped out about 1,200 families over the years. Can you give us an example of a family you've worked with recently and how this program made a difference for them? Or any of these 2 programs?
Sure. Just one family that stands out. It's one of my favorite stories because they were just a great family to work with, and it was a mother and daughter duo that had lived in public housing their whole lives. So 2 generations living in public housing, and now they are proud homeowners of a beautiful home in Centerville. And you know, the mom is on a fixed income, the daughter, you know, works a modest job, and they were able to buy a home paying almost exactly the same amount that they were paying for rent living in public housing.
That's a great success story. They've broken the cycle, and it's possible for people to get educated and change their lives and become homeowners. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to help. So don't be afraid to call Kathy Mercado. And if you need rehab and lead money, you can give me a call at Alcantara. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
The actual buying process, which, I'm glad that we took the first-time home buyers class, because I think the one thing that kind of shocked me, even though I heard it, was like the time it'll take, the heartbreaks you'll feel, and that, you may find your perfect house, but if it slips through, there's still that your perfect house later on, which in our case was what happened. We found a house that we fell in love with, kind of started scrambling getting the stuff done, but unfortunately we were a little too late, and then we kind of almost gave up, I'm sure, like a lot of other people, but then we kind of stuck with it. And in hindsight now, it's like, I think this house was way better than all the other ones we looked at.
I mean, it's like the process itself that you don't necessarily think that you have to document just about everything. So once we started the process, I feel like the concerns started trickling in. Just being prepared and knowing what it is that you need was very important. We definitely weren't thinking about like buying a house that this is going to be like the final house. That was sort of the first step. So even though initially like we fell in love with one house, we still made this house our, like our dream house. So that worked out.
Okay, so we actually got one of the special loan grants that City of Lowell offers for first-time home buyers. So on top of the already huge stack, we had a second set of huge stacks to sign. So I know kind of going through it, it's kind of signing
With loan.
basically, just signing every page, initialing everything. That was kind of like an overwhelming process. But then afterwards, when we got the key, I think the first thing we did was kind of drove over and kind of saw this, that it's yours now and it's ours, and finally something we can call home and come to, and so that was really nice.
It's always exciting. I feel like the move and the ideas that you have in your head of what it is, what goes where, making this space your own. That's the exciting part.
Welcome back to Smart Home Buying with the Merrimack Valley Housing Partnership. And now it's my turn to interview my colleague, Ed Alcantara. And he's going to talk about our rehabilitation loan and lead loans that are offered in the city of Lowell. Welcome, Ed. Welcome back. And now it's my turn.
Thank you, Kathy. Great to be here with you.
Great. Ed, can you talk about the rehabilitation loan and lead loans offered for the city of Lowell residents?
Yes. It's important that people get their properties, in the proper condition. Deterioration costs a lot of money. It's more expensive to improve the properties when some people let them go for economic reasons. So this is a great program to help somebody fix their house, improve it. They have to address any unsafe, unhealthy, or unsanitary conditions. And so you have to be a person who's owned the house for at least 3 years to apply. And then we use the same down payment assistance guidelines that they would for the down payment program as far as income goes.
Can you talk about the rehabilitation loans and lead loans offered to Lowell residents?
Yeah, I'd love to mention the fact that we are fortunate. We have a rehabilitation program here in the city of Lowell, and that applies to anybody who's owned a house for 3 years. The process is to bring their property up to standards so that there's no unsafe, unsanitary, or unhealthy conditions in the property. And what is done is that those things have to be met when they're doing the project to renovate or rehabilitate the property.
Is it the same guidelines such as the down payment assistance programs? Do they use the same guidelines in regards to income?
Yeah, they do look at the income the same way, but they also have to look at the value of the property if the owner has some equity, and then they can do the improvements. They can't, overextend the homeowner, even though the homeowner may need tons of work. There's limits. They're very generous with the money, but it has to fit the scope of the value of the house when the work is done.
Okay, so what if the home tests positive for lead?
Yeah, one of the requirements, because this is money that's through the federal government, is that the properties have to be de-leaded. In a perfect scenario, somebody's already got a property that's de-leaded and they just need the rehab loan, and that's a much quicker process. But if they need to de-lead, there has to be a lead inspection completed. Then that lead inspection is reviewed by the construction manager over at Department of Planning and Development. He writes up a work scope of what the work is going to involve and the details of how the work's going to be performed. That is then put out to bid. So they usually get 3 bids, sometimes 4, and the lowest bidder gets the work. And then at that point, we have to apply for a lead loan because there's 2 parts involved in that situation.
And who does the lead loan? Does the city of Lowell? Is it city of Lowell funding, or is it someone else?
No, it's another organization. Mill Cities Community Investments is the conduit to Mass Housing, who provides the funding. We package all the applications, all the paperwork. I help the first-time buyer with all of that, and then we submit it to Mill Cities. So let's say there's a project and the rehabilitation's $60,000. That's extensive work. But what they would do is they would say, okay, the lead portion of that project is 20, So we would submit an application for lead paint funding for $20,000. The city would do the rehab for $40,000. So there's a loan from Mill Cities through Mass Housing, and then there's the rehab portion from the city.
Okay. Is there interest on these loans, or what are the repayment?
All right, the City of Lowell rehabilitation loan, there is no repayment done unless somebody sells, refinances, or transfers the property. So you could buy the house, do all the work, and 30 years from now, sell it, and that's when you would pay the funding back. The same thing with lead paint if you're an owner occupant. And with the rehab money, you have to live in the property and reside in the property. So the interest rate is 0 for the lead loan as well. They do have a cap on how much they'll go to on the lead paint. $35,000 is normally the maximum amount, but they do waivers because some houses have extensive lead work, which is above that limit. So the program's designed to keep children safe.
Those sounds like they're great programs. A lot of people utilize those programs. I mean, how many families you would say have utilized these?
I would say about 45, with combination of lead or rehab or both. It's just helped a lot of people improve their homes and keep them up to good standing so that they don't get into further disrepair.
Typically, how long does it take to this process take?
It's going to take 2.5 to 3 months if there's lead work involved, because the process of doing the inspection, reviewing the inspection, doing the work write-up, going through the bidding process, it's going to take 2.5 to 3 months to actually get the work started.
Okay.
And that's a safe bet.
Oh, okay, great. What if it's a multifamily and you have tenants and it tests less positive for lead?
Well, in that situation, we definitely would require that the process is going to be the same. The only thing is now we've got tenants, so the landlord has to put the tenants up in a hotel, or they can make arrangements with family members, but they should be compensated if they're not going to be in the apartment. Normally, most landlords are going to pay for the hotel for the tenant to stay while the lead work is being done. And we don't know how long that's going to take, because that would depend on the project. Each project's different. But you cannot live in the house while the work is being done.
Each project obviously is different, so there's different scenarios. I'm sure that you're able to walk people through that since you've been doing these applications and helping people with these applications for many, many years. Now, in regards to an example of a family you have that has received this type of assistance, can you give me a story about a family that
Sure.
have been through the program?
Sure. I remember a woman several years ago who had a mold problem in her bathroom. Didn't know where to turn, so she came to us. We got her into the rehab loan. She didn't have to de-lead because the property was already de-leaded. They went in and inspected the property for any other unsafe and or unhealthy. Obviously, mold is unhealthy, so that addressed that right away. They redid the entire bathroom. Did some plumbing in there. Again, these are contractors that are licensed, and the project is overseen by the construction manager over at the city. She also, I believe, got a heating system as well. They did some other work on that. I've had people that I've seen that have had roofs. They don't remodel the kitchen because you want to upgrade to today's stuff you see on TV. But if there's issues that need to be addressed, they'll do upgrades when it's pertinent on that type of stuff.
Well, I want to thank you for giving us this helpful information. I hope people that do watch this show are able to take advantage of these programs that we have available in our city and that are out there for you to utilize. So please, if you have any questions, reach out to us. We are at Merrimack Valley Housing Partnership. Our email, our website address is mvhp.org. Our telephone number is 978-459-8490. Again, my name is Kathy Mercado, and I am the project coordinator, and this is my colleague, Ed Alcantara, and he is the home buyer counselor.
Thank you very much. We're here to help. If anybody needs help, don't be daunted by the task, we'll get it done. I try to make it as simple as possible.